Good morning and happy Easter to you all. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Rebecca and I am a QTT personal development coach, mentor and homeopath. And I use all these methods to help you and your family to be as well and as happy as you can be and stay that way. And this video is part of my Monday messages. So I pop in here every Monday at 10 o'clock to share a theme, a thought, a tip, a method, something that will help to support you in making positive changes to your life on a daily basis so that you can negotiate any of the challenges that life gives you with calm and with ease. And obviously we're in the middle of a big challenge at the moment. And today I am going to talk about one of the aspects of that, and that is something that's come up actually a lot for me recently in my own life, with friends, with family, and with my clients. And particularly with parents, but not exclusively with parents. And that is all the different roles that we're having to play at the moment, some of you more than others. And I say particularly parents because all of a sudden overnight, we were having to be not only mum or dad, but teacher, fitness instructor, family motivator, cleaner, obviously still probably business owners or, working for somebody else, health consultant, all sorts of different roles that we wouldn't normally be playing with quite such focus, if you like. And if you are joining me, and I can see that there's a couple of you that have, then let me know if that resonates with you, because I think even if we're not parents, just having to try and run a business in the current situation. I know for myself, although I'm quite familiar with working online, there are lots of additional technical things that I've had to get to grips with in order to keep my business running. Also, actually, just to connect with friends. We had a great birthday party for a friend of mine online last night using Zoom. And Zoom is something that I would use anyway with my online calls, but there were many of my friends who had never used it before, which was quite funny. But we had a great time. We spent 2 hours online drinking and talking and, exchanging views and doing all the things that we would actually do in real life. Excuse me. So if you are finding that you are having to wear lots of different hats at the moment, and maybe that's a bit challenging because it can be, then today is all about kind of maybe getting to grips with your own personal cast of characters and being able to direct those characters rather than have them steal the show. And be directing you, if you like. So the ideal thing with your little mini cast of characters is that you are the director at all times. We have these little mini cast of characters, these mini personalities. We have them all the time, actually. And most of the time, people are using them subconsciously. They're popping up when they're triggered by certain things, and they will just take over and respond in a way that has worked for you in the past. And sometimes we can almost be kind of semi-aware of that and kind of go, God, where did that come from? That wasn't how I would have necessarily have chosen how to react to that particular situation. What I've done over the years is I've actually made friends with my main mini characters, and There were some characters that I did allow to play far too big a role for far too long. And all of these characters, although they always have a positive use, they're set up by us to help us negotiate certain situations. Good morning, Sue. I'm going to give you a little wave. You're very welcome. And I think you're in the UK. I don't think you're in America. But anyway, wherever you are, Sue, you're very welcome. We're talking about our own little mini personalities this morning and how to manage them so that we can negotiate different challenges in life and how to recognise them and make friends with them, because we're all made up of this cast of different personalities, if you like, and we just wheel them out either subconsciously or hopefully after this week a bit more consciously when they're required. And the trick is to be able to call upon them consciously, but also to be consciously telling them, okay, thanks very much, don't need you anymore. Because most of the time, good morning, Breed. I'm going to give you a wave as well. There you go. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me. So most of the time, these mini characters have a brilliant use. They help us to get through things. But if they're allowed to hang around too long and take a starring role in your show, if you like, then they actually most of the time become quite destructive or negative. I'll give you an example. In a previous life, I had quite a number of years as a television producer. And obviously the skills involved with being a producer are you have to be mega organised. Really, you are in control of everything, of all sorts of other people, all sorts of elements, and you're pulling them all together to get things done. And I got stuck in that role. And I was that producer me for a number of years. And it didn't serve me very well. Good morning, Bridget. You're very welcome. You'll probably be familiar with this concept, Bridget, but we are talking about our mini personalities. And yeah, just talking about my producer mode, because I was stuck in that mode, I was like that all the time. Had to organise everything, had to control everything, had to make sure that everything was done the way that I needed it to be done. Everything had to be mega efficient and on time and all of those things. And it was a pain in the arse, frankly, for everybody that I was living with. And it was also really, really tiring for me to be constantly in that role. So I then went through a period of my life when I was working on my stuff, when I kind of felt, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was a terrible thing to do. I don't want to be in that state again. I never want to be in a producer mode again. Now I've done my QTT personal development work, I am loving my producer self, because when I'm in control of her and I choose to bring her out, she really gets shit done, basically. So I love her to pieces now, because I can bring her out if I'm up against it for any reason and I need to get something done, or I need to just get everybody in the family together to get something done, then out she comes. But if she's allowed to hang around too much, then she gets too controlling and too mega organised. So I'm very conscious to say, thank you very much, back you go into the wings. And that's just one of my personalities. And I'm sure all of you have got lots of little personalities that you can bring out when you need to. I'm thinking of lots of my friends at the moment with much younger children than me who are having to step into the role of teacher. Not something that many of them relish, but they're having to do that, obviously, because their children need it. So they're calling upon their own memories of teachers that they've known or situations where they have been a teacher in the past. And I think we've all got those experiences to draw upon. So what I wanted to encourage you to do this week was to really think about the little kind of mini personalities that you've got. Think about when they're useful to you. When would be a good time to bring them out? Make friends with them, give them a name. A lot of the time we set up these mini personalities based on very specific people or based on very specific situations. And that can give you a pointer as to when these personalities can actually serve you, can help you to achieve something or help you negotiate something. And it's, like everything in life, they have a positive side and a negative side. And really, it's when they're in balance, that's fine. But when they're not in balance, so they're allowed to run the show, basically, step in and steal everyone else's lines, then they become not so great. So I'm thinking of and if you think of any personality that you might call upon, it always has a positive, but sometimes you just have to dig quite deep to understand what that positive is. It can be to protect you, it can be to stop you from being hurt, it can be to help you get through things that you're quite scared of. There's all sorts of things. The victim mode, I sometimes would go, actually, when my producer has been out for too long, often my kind of poor me, I'm really tired and I need some TLC, pops out. And she's welcome because I've usually allowed, not so much now, I have to say, but I've usually allowed the producer me to burn everything out and get me a little bit too tired. So now I need a rest. I need some TLC. I need to do some self-care to recover. So that's why she pops out, the poor me mini personality. And again, if I were to stay in poor me for too long, that wouldn't really serve me very well. It wouldn't help me to get things done. It would be quite draining on everybody else because I tend to kind of expect people around me to recognise that I need some help and support. And I would perhaps be focusing a little bit too much on my self-care. So, as I said in last week's Monday messages, it's all about balance, basically. So everything needs to be in balance. And part of that balance is being able to recognise these little mini you personalities. Good morning, Sheila. You're very welcome. And being able to, as I say, call upon them. So at the moment, if you're scheduling your kids' schoolwork time, for example, and you need to step out of being a mum and step into being a teacher, just have a think about what that teacher personality involves. What does it allow you to do that perhaps you wouldn't do in mum mode? And what are the positives of that? I mean, it could be about motivating your children, keeping them going through, stuff that they're finding difficult. It could be that you're a bit tougher than you would be in mum mode. And if you just maybe give that teacher a name, think about the pluses, and also just be mindful of the possible negatives if she were to be hanging around for too long. I'm sure your children wouldn't want to be living with their teacher for a start. Then you can actively step into her. Now, I've got a friend who actually has different articles of clothing that she chooses to put on. I mean, it's not a full dress-up mode, but just, maybe a different cardigan or a different pair of shoes, something like that just helps you to get into that role. And then when you've finished, you can take them off. And it's just a kind of shortcut to helping you to get into that useful role, and also being able to put her back in the wings when you've finished. So this week, why don't you maybe think about your mini personalities? Make a list of, I would say, at least 5. I mean, we have hundreds of them, but usually there's a kind of top 5, 6, maybe even 10 that you need on a daily basis. And being able to recognize them is incredibly useful. Being able to actually use their skills, invaluable, and also being able to actually tell them, thanks very much, don't need you anymore, I'm going to put another hat on now, is also very handy, especially in these times that we're living in. So, yeah, give them names, make friends with them. Be mindful this week of when they pop out, because sometimes, obviously, they come out subconsciously when they're triggered by whatever brings them out, whatever calls them on stage, if you like. And actually being aware of what those triggers are is really handy. It gives you a lot of insight about your own health and how you work. Good morning, Selena. Very welcome. If you've just joined me, Selena, do watch the replay and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear if any of you have a kind of favourite little mini personality that you bring out, or if you recognise this as being familiar to you, then do let me know. I've found it incredibly handy in understanding myself and the enormous array of skills that I have, actually. And it also thank you, Selena. And also that if I am in a difficult situation, one that I'm perhaps not that familiar with, that if I stop and think, there is some aspect of me that I can call upon that will help me to get through it. I've got bits of my personality that are much, much braver than I think I am as a whole. Public speaking, for a start, was something that I was terrified of for years and years. And I avoided it like the plague, and was very clever about avoiding it. Now I do it quite a lot. I'm reasonably comfortable with it. And if I'm ever in a situation where I think, actually, I'm not that confident, then I just call out my public speaker me, and I know that I can literally step into her and it'll all be fine. It's like taking on a role, which is why I'm using the kind of casting and stage analogy. It's really interesting work to do. It tells you a lot about yourself, and it helps, I think, a lot in this particular situation when you think, oh my God, how am I going to do all these things? How can I be all these different roles for my business, for my kids, for my partner, all of those things. So I hope that has been food for thought for you and that you find it useful. And if you feel that maybe you'd like some support in doing that kind of work, then do pop onto my website, www.rebeccaatkinson.com, and that link is in the post with this video. And you can register for a free call with me, and you can have a chat about how I can help you with that or with anything else. And also, maybe if you feel that you're perhaps stuck in one role that isn't really helping you in all the other situations that you're in, then that's something we can work together to help you with as well. So I wish you all a happy Easter Monday. And if you do have any comments or any feedback on your little mini-me's, then do let me know. And if you're watching the replay, then it's not too late. I'd still love to hear, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Good morning, Margaret. We're just finishing, actually. So I'll just hang on for a couple of minutes and see, does anybody have anything that they want to ask or contribute? So, yeah, I hope you're having good weather. I know, Sue, in the UK, you're having excellent weather. I was on Zoom yesterday with lots of my UK friends having a birthday party, and they were all in strap tops and sitting outside in the sunshine with the barbecue, while me and my husband were here wrapped up in scarves and cardigans. It's kind of weird, really. But hopefully the weather is better today. I think it is sunny outside, so I hope you all enjoy it. Soak it up. Okay, I don't think anyone has any questions. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on my Monday messages, and I'll see you next week at 10 o'clock. Okay, bye.